Hello.
Testing.
Oh, there we go. Oh, look, it works now. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to our Public Works and Infrastructure Committee meeting today. Before we begin and gavel this in, we have 41 interns from 8 different divisions of Public Works. Obviously not 41 today, but we're really proud to be joined by our interns in Public Works today. Thank you for all being here, and wanted to take a moment to recognize your very hard work and get a chance to meet you, get to know you better. So I'm going to pass the mic down the line. If you could say your name and what division you're in, that would be great.
Hello, my name is Malik Hussein. I'm with Transportation Engineering Design Survey Crew, so TED Survey for short.
My name is Thomas Jacobs. I am also with him on the TED, and I'm on the survey crew.
My name is Gina Zidane, and I'm in the paving department.
Good afternoon. My name is Kelisa Jervis. I'm with the Surface Water and Sewer in the business group.
Hello, my name is Diego. I'm in the Streets Division.
My name is Imtisal. I'm in Surface Water and Sewers.
My name is Linda Herbrand, and I am an intern, a regulatory environmental intern for the Surface Waters and Sewers Division.
My name is Lycan Hefti. I work for Transportation Planning and Programming.
My name is Julian Wells Gonzalez, and I work for the Roads Division.
My name is Juan Casnero Sotero, and I work for the Public Works Administrative Services.
My name is Livia Lund, and I'm with the Admin Division.
My name is Christopher Sirna Ventura, and I'm in the Admin Division as well.
My name is Jana Dade, and I'm with Surface Water and Sewer. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Monique Fish, and I help facilitate our Public Works internships as well as our Step Up in Urban Scholars. So I just want to echo what we've said. Thank you so much for being here this summer and all of your contributions to our Public Works Department.
Yeah. Thank you, Monique, and thank you again, all of you, for being a part of this team. It's so essential to the work of the city, and we hope you continue on at the city as well and find opportunities in the future with the city. And I'll see if our Public Works Director wants to say a few words as well.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, committee members, for recognizing these great interns. We all know the value of internship and how important it is to both get that real world experience of working on projects, of being able to be in the workplace. And I just want to say a deep thank you for all of your hard work. I got to know our interns in the admin area. They've been working on projects that are very near and dear to our hearts. I wish I could get to know all of you in that way, but I just want to say thank you so much. Internships are very important. I don't know if we've had a couple more interns join us at all. Anyone else? You want to come up and introduce yourself in the division that you worked in? And we will recognize you all. And I want to thank Monique for her coordination of the program. And, having 41 interns is a lot of internships. And so I also want to thank our division directors. Most of them are in the room today for sponsoring and hosting the interns as well. So I know we have a few more to have introductions, so thank you for being here.
Thank you. My name is Sylvia Greenwood, and I'm a student at the University of Minnesota with the Urban Studies program, and I was working as an intern with Traffic and Parking Services.
Hi, my name is Nathan Hauk. I am also with the Traffic and Parking Services, and I'm currently enrolled at the University of Minnesota.
Hello, my name is Omar Rahman, and I am also, surprise, a student of the University of Minnesota. I'm also with Traffic and Parking Services.
Hi, I'm Alexander Danielson, and I'm a Master of Geographic Information Science, already graduated, and I am in Surface Water and Sewer in the business unit.
Well, thank you all again so much. Let's give one more round of applause. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. All right, well, I'm going to call to order this regular meeting of the Public Works and Infrastructure Committee for August 24th. I'm the chair of this committee, Andrew Johnson, and at this time I will ask the clerks to call the roll so we can verify a quorum for this meeting.
Councilmember Payne.
Present.
Wansley.
Present.
Vita.
Present.
Chugtai.
Present.
Vice Chair Koski is absent. Chair Johnson.
Present.
There are 5 members present.
Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. And with that, we'll move to our consent agenda. There are 11 items on the consent agenda, which I will read for the record. The first item is authorizing a contract with the Joint Water Commission for the sale of water. The second is authorizing negotiations with private property owners to acquire easements, if needed, for the 2025 resurfacing of 88 pedestrian ramps, 88 pedestrian ramp program, and 2024 parkway paving program. The third item is setting a public hearing for October 12th to consider proposed 2024 services and service charges for special service districts. The fourth item is designating the 2024 non-governmental tax-exempt parcel street maintenance assessments and setting a public hearing for October 12th to consider the assessments. Item number 5 is designating the 2024 non-governmental tax-exempt parcel streetlight operation fee assessments and setting a public hearing for October 12th, 2023 to consider the assessments. Item number 6 is adopting updates to the litter container placement and servicing policy. Item number 7 is approving Minneapolis comments to the MPCA relating to the Metropolitan Solid Waste Management Policy Plan 2022 through 2042. Item number 8 is approving an appointment to the Metropolitan Council Transit Advantage and Signal Priority Work Group. Item number 9 is authorizing the submittal of grant applications to the Mississippi Watershed Management Organization to fund green infrastructure projects within the Southside Green Zone. Item number 10 is accepting a grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation for a curb management pilot project. Item number 11 is approving a large block event permit for the El Grito Block Party to be held on September 15th. Is there any discussion on any of these consent items from committee members? Not seeing any. All those in approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the consent agenda is approved. Next, we will move on to our final item today, which is receiving and filing an introduction of the 2024 event series to advance transportation planning and mode shift goals. Director Anderson Kelleher, who will be presenting this item today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Presenting for today is Jenny Hager as the lead presenter, Director of Transportation Planning and Programming. She will be assisted in any case of any budget questions by Deputy Director Brett Jelly. So I just want to say that Jenny's making the main presentation, but there may be assistance from the Deputy Director as well. And I have a few comments to make before she begins, if that would be okay.
All right, of course, please.
All right, thank you. So in today's presentation, we are sharing a new event series that we have proposed and that we have an implementation plan for 2024. This event series is going to advance transportation policies and goals that have been passed by the City Council and approved by the Mayor, which is the core work of Public Works. As we've been preparing for committee, questions and concerns have come up about the future of the Open Streets series. And today's presentation, I believe, will address those concerns about the future of the Open Streets series. Public Works is not presenting a question of whether Open Streets should continue. We are presenting an idea that we will implement that will allow us to build on the Transportation Action Plan and additional events that also support active transportation and mode shift goals within the city. That has been our primary focus. That's the policy work directed for Public Works. Open Streets, as I have already said and communicated, are wonderful events. They are going to continue. They are loved by many people. The city is committed to supporting Open Streets in Minneapolis in 2024, just as it has in the past years. The future of who is going to be the lead department is going to be discussed during the presentation, and we'd welcome any questions you might have about that.
Thank you, Director. Appreciate that commentary and context. Welcome, Ms. Hager. And then for committee members, I think we'll probably just hold questions until the end of the presentation. So, perfect. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Hager. I am the Director of Transportation Planning and Programming for Public Works. Today, I am sharing information on a new event series that Public Works will be implementing starting in 2024, and also sharing what is next for the Open Streets program. First and foremost, as Director Kelleher has already said, Public Works is not proposing an end to the Open Streets program. The city is committed to supporting Open Streets in 2024, just as it has in past years. And to clarify our terminology for you all and for the public who may be watching, Open Streets refers to the program of events, while Our Streets refers to the current organizer on these events. The organizer is also sometimes referred to as the contractor. The current organizer for Open Streets Minneapolis is Our Streets Minneapolis. The current contract, which is a $0 contract, is held between Public Works and Our Streets Minneapolis, and the city contributes and supports the Open Streets program by providing in-kind services. Open Streets Minneapolis began in 2011 and is a hugely successful and much loved series of events. Open Streets Minneapolis is based on a concept that emerged in Bogota, Colombia in 1974, and now Open Streets initiatives occur across the United States and the world. They help to achieve public health, environmental, social, and economic goals while providing opportunities for people to experience streets in different ways. In Minneapolis, Open Streets events generally occur on major urban corridors, connect multiple neighborhoods, encourage business development, have strong destinations, occur over several blocks, and these events have evolved over time. What started as an event series to support city efforts to encourage physical activity, build support for active transportation, and enhance community engagement looks different now. Open Streets events draw large numbers of people. There is a lot of programming with vendors, music, fun activities, arts, and culture. And yes, active transportation is still a part of Open Streets, but it is no longer the primary focus of Open Streets. Open Streets operate and feel like street festivals. Also, part of this evolution has been the identification of financial challenges by our Open Streets organizer, Our Streets Minneapolis. Open Streets Minneapolis is planned to continue in 2024. The current contract for the 2023 Open Streets organizer, which is held between Public Works and Our Streets Minneapolis, will expire on October 27th, 2023. The city is committed to supporting open streets in 2024, just as it has in past years. This includes Public Works. However, Public Works will be in a support role rather than a lead role. The Office of Public Service is going to lead a planning effort across departments for the future of open streets. And as in past years, there will be a procurement process for an Open Streets Minneapolis 2024 event series. And this allows Public Works to lead on a new event series, which will be branded as part of our As You Go Minneapolis Mode Shift campaign. This new event series is intended to build upon and complement the Open Streets Minneapolis program. It will focus on active transportation and advancing our transportation goals and policies. It is not intended to replicate or supplant Open Streets. These new events will look and feel different than Open Streets events. There will be less programming, there will be less people, but they will be focused on advancing our transportation policies and goals. So why are we doing this? The Transportation Action Plan sets very ambitious transportation goals. The Transportation Action Plan was adopted in December of 2020. We're nearly 3 years into that 10-year action plan, and we are looking for ways to continue to advance our efforts in reaching these ambitious transportation goals. Additionally, the Racial Equity Framework for Transportation was adopted earlier this year, and it defines additional policy goals in pursuit of a more equitable transportation system. The Transportation Action Plan includes a specific action that points to ensuring Open Streets Minneapolis continues to evolve and be a sustainable program. The action also calls for finding other ways to encourage and give people the opportunity to envision Minneapolis streets in a different way. One of the overarching goals of the TAP is our mode shift goal of having 3 of every 5 trips taken by walking, biking, or transit by 2030. Reaching our mode shift goal will help us to reach our goal around reducing vehicle miles traveled. This is about providing convenient and easy options for people to make a different transportation choice. To reach this goal, the average person in Minneapolis would have to travel just 4 miles less per day by car. And ultimately, both mode shift and VMT reduction help us reach goals around climate, which also contributes to social and environmental equity. The Racial Equity Framework for Transportation contains a specific strategy to build trust, cultivate partnerships, and share power with communities of color. And that strategy has specific actions around how we can better engage with community, and in particular communities of color, around our transportation projects, policies, and goals. So this brings us back to what is Public Works proposing for 2024? Earlier this year, Public Works launched a multi-year mode shift campaign called As You Go Minneapolis. We're very excited about this campaign. This is something we've not done before. We're having a lot of fun promoting this campaign. It has fun, colorful, attention-grabbing characters. It has short, understandable messaging to promote the benefits of our transportation goals. We're partnering with Metro Transit quite a bit and working on ways to expand our opportunities to partner more directly with neighborhoods and the community as part of this campaign. Starting in 2024, Public Works will lead an event series that is part of the As You Go Minneapolis Mode Shift campaign. Again, these events are not intended to replicate or supplant Open Streets events. These events are different. They will look and feel different. They will have a focus on active transportation, education, and encouragement. There will be less programming. They will expand our opportunities to engage and build relationships with community. And just like Open Streets, they will also evolve as we evaluate our work and adapt. One type of event that we are proposing will focus on engagement with community on upcoming projects in our capital improvement program. We see an opportunity to demonstrate a future vision within the physical space of the street rather than using our traditional formats with paper or digital concept drawings. These events will be great opportunities to engage with community in a very different way. A great example of something like this is the work that Public Works did recently with the Little Earth community, shown in the bottom picture of this slide, where a portion of the street was taken back for community space with plantings, seating, and art as part of a pilot or demonstration project. And we also see an opportunity to celebrate our work. These events create opportunities for us to talk to community and answer questions about recent projects, especially transformative projects with new and innovative design features. We can explain what pavement markings and signs mean. We can explain what new design features like the red tactile strips between sidewalks and bikeways or new green infrastructure installations are for and how they should be used. We can demonstrate how new bikeways fit within the broader transportation network and how to get from point A to point B. We can discuss how these transformative projects are contributing to our transportation goals. And we can follow up on questions, comments, and concerns and expand our engagement beyond our typical design and construction phases. We still have 2 Open Streets events in 2023, and Public Works is committed to supporting those events and a successful conclusion to the 2023 Open Streets season. Open Streets West Broadway is on September 16th, and Open Streets Lyndale is on October 8th. The city remains committed to Open Streets Minneapolis in 2024. We are planning for both Open Streets Minneapolis and the new As You Go Minneapolis events to coexist and complement each other in 2024. We have some work to do. Today we're sharing what we're planning for next year. In addition to the work that the Office of Public Service will be leading on to deliver Open Streets Minneapolis in 2024, Public Works will be leading on developing the As You Go Minneapolis event series. We will continue our information sharing with our advisory committees. We'll continue our planning work with a goal to have 2 to 4 events in 2024. Then we will evaluate our work and look ahead to 2025. With that, Mr. Chair, I thank you for the opportunity to present this today and stand for any questions.
All right, thank you for the presentation. I will see if any of our committee members have any questions on this. Councilmember Payne.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I just first want to express the importance of these events and my support and commitment to make sure that we continue forward with them. And in doing that, it would be good for us to understand what the costs are associated with this. And I recognize that it might be hard to calculate those because of the arrangement that we've had to date. But do we have a good estimate, at least internally, what our costs are? And then if you could take a guess at maybe what, if we were to be partnering with an external partner, whether it's our streets or anyone else, what a reasonable cost estimate might be. And then this might also be a question for the city attorneys, because I feel like there's some history around how the city's been contracting with partners, and it sounds like there might be some complex legal issues around how we partner. That's a lot. So maybe just if you start with the cost estimate.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Hager, if you could start with that, and then we'll turn to our city attorneys. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair and Councilmember Payne. I believe your first question was, do we have an estimate of the value of the in-kind services that the city contributes
Correct.
to Open Streets events today? I do have that information. So again, our current contract with our Open Streets organizer is a $0 contract, but the city contributes and supports Open Streets events through in-kind services that are currently estimated, so I don't have an exact number, but we currently estimate the value of those in-kind services at $34,000 per event. And that covers Public Works, the police department, the health department, and regulatory services.
And then Councilmember Payne, does that answer the question? Or
That does.
Were you also curious about the costs specifically that the partners incur?
Yes, and any legal challenges around the role that a partner organization has, because it wouldn't just be the city as a partner, but they also take in sponsorship dollars and so on and so on, or vendor fees. And it sounds like in the past that there might have been some legal barriers to what our relationship could be. So I was just looking for some clarity around how that structurally works.
So maybe I'll turn to our city attorney for that, but if it's okay if I just ask the clarifying question to Ms. Haggard, do we happen to know how much we expect the expenses are per event for our current vendor? Or their portion of it?
Mr. Chair, I don't have those financials for our current organizer.
Thank you. And I'll turn to our city attorney. If you could please share what you're able to about these.
Thank you, Chair Johnson and Councilmember Payne. At this point in time, the contract is guided by a request for proposal that was put out in 2021. It was a $0 request for proposal, so that is what guides how we are able to contract at this time for Open Streets events. If there are further questions or more questions regarding the RFP process and those processes that we go through, I'd be happy to set up a meeting offline and we can go through that to describe it in more detail.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. Thank you for the presentation. Really exciting to see where we're planning to move forward and how we, it's just a relief to hear you say we're not ending Open Streets. You know, those are big events in this city. As someone who is a former chair of what was the Minneapolis Bicycle Coalition turned Our Streets, you know, just having an event on West Broadway was a big deal. It was a big deal to me. It was a big deal to that community because we hadn't had anything like that on a busy street like West Broadway. And it was extremely scary for folks to even think about biking, walking, rolling on West Broadway. So happy to hear you say that that is not the goal here, but the goal is to provide a different kind of way for a community to gather. And so I'm wondering, the first thing is, do we have a contract with Our Streets through 2024? Because the presentation said we're committed to 2024, but so do we have a contract through then?
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Vita, our current contract with the organizer, which is Our Streets Minneapolis, will expire on October 27th of 2023.
Okay.
So we are proposing that there will be another procurement process for the 2024 Open Streets season.
Okay, thank you. And then the second thing is with the new transportation programming and the ideas of what we're going to be doing moving forward, do we have an idea of how many events would, you know, happen, like the ones you've done the pilot on, and like what are the successes of that?
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Vita, so we are still doing our planning work. We welcome ideas or suggestions that you all might have for projects coming up in your wards. We're hoping to do 2 to 4 events in 2024. Given that they're going to be smaller scale events, I do think that there's some adaptability in that goal. And we do see, you know, just as Open Streets has evolved over years, that our approach with our program will also evolve over the years.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wansley.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I just had a couple questions around this because I will name, there's lots of confusion around this process still. I know, or the decision to not, well, let me actually take a step back. While you're emphasizing that the city, and I see that as an organization, at least that's Director Mack, you mentioned in your email correspondence, is going to be taking over in some capacity the Open Street Series in 2024. What you've also made clear in this presentation is that Public Works will not be the lead department, and it sounds like this is in alignment with our current procurement practices in facilitating our RFP. You will be supporting that, and now that will be shifted to OPS. I think the confusion around there is the rationale that was provided is that currently, or through the current vendor, the Open Streets program series feels like a street festival. And I know I've had constituents reach out and say, because this is also on the RCA too, that seems somewhat contradictory because they pointed me to the Public Works website, where if I read it right now, it says residents can play, eat, bike, walk, dance, sing, and much more at this family-friendly event, period. More than a street festival, Open Street East Lake, because this was around the launch, allows neighbors to experience city streets as public spaces where communities thrive. So even on Public Works webpage, it emphasizes that it's not just a street festival. It is seemingly meeting some of these key components that you named, the multimodal shifts that is listed under our transportation, action plan that this council passed. So there's lots of confusion as to why all of a sudden Public Works is now shifting their orientation to this program. Not saying we're severing ties, but that they will not be the lead department. And this might be a follow-up question based off of what, our city attorneys just said, and also based off of the procurement practices or policies that even council members in Pogo just got a good briefing on. Why Public Works would initially lead with a $0 bid when, based off of our procurement practices, you could do an RFP bid process, which are typically competitive. We do this for a lot of vendors, and there's usually an estimated cost for that. And why didn't we just do a RFP for professional consulting services for this particular contract?
So thank you, Councilmember. The second question you have, I'll save for the city attorney around the specifics of the contract, because I think that would probably be most appropriate. But Ms. Hager, do you want to address, or Director, do you want to address the first question?
So thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Councilmember Wansley. Ms. Hager stated, Director Hager stated, that we still feel that Open Streets is an important event. The city feels these are important events. However, in a world where we now have the Transportation Action Plan, I just want to take us back to that this contract has been in place for quite a while. The event's been in place for quite a while. The Transportation Action Plan is fairly recent, and we are really looking to promote the mode shift. That's so important because, and I know you all believe this because you all support it, but we also believe this because of what we saw happen in the state legislature this year with the most ambitious transportation plan we've seen, reduction in VMT, focus on climate. We feel we need, as Public Works, as both a transportation agency as well as our other responsibilities, to really focus in on the mode shift. I think we all can agree that yes, people can walk. I was at Glenwood, but I could not ride my bike down the street until I got to Penn because it was crowded. There was no rolling down that street at Glenwood from basically most of where the vendors were. And I think that's why the city feels it's important to keep doing open streets, but as Public Works, we feel it's important to partner with our other departments to present open streets, but not be the lead of open streets.
Thank you, Director. And then for that second question, I'll turn to our city attorney.
Thank you, Chair Johnson, Councilmember Wansley. As to the decision of why a $0 RFP was done, I was not privy to that decision, and that may be something that Public Works can shed more light on about that decision previously. But in 2021, the $0 RFP was the way that the city went forward with procuring the contract and a event organizer for Open Streets. Public Works may have some more information about previous history of the Open Streets events and why that may have happened.
And I know that was, 12 years ago, but maybe we have somebody from that time, Mr. Jelly, or some institutional knowledge on that.
Good afternoon, committee. Chair Johnson, Councilmember Wansley, Rhett Jelly, Deputy Director, Minneapolis intern class of 2000. The history of that RFP, there was an evaluation after Open Streets events have been happening for a while about how do we align our procurement process and what the city can do to support these events, and that's when we landed on the RFP process. And I think the $0 RFP process recognized the fact that the city was a partner and contributing in-kind services, and that an organizer would have access to sponsorship dollars, vendor fees, and those types of things to help defray their costs. So that was the original reason for the $0 contract, and then that just continued for this second RFP.
And I would, in light of that information, still seems concerning, and maybe this is why there's been a shift towards OPS in handling this process, because I know, like Warehouse Live, for instance, we're allocating $500,000 this past year. That's getting $600,000. Similar kind of framework of closing down the street, allowing people to have, access to that corridor, and also city departments, similar like Public Works, they're in-kinding staff support. MPD is there, all sorts of other staff departments are there, and there's still DID, that's the external vendor running the program, are also getting a $600,000 allocation next year. So I'm just still concerned, again, based off of even ongoing presidencies, I'm sure in prior presidencies, why we would enter into some type of large scale event like that with a $0 bid. So that is something I think going forward, as you're talking about moving this into a different department's hands, that is a key component to kind of get clarified, because I don't think anyone expects to do something this massive of like what Our Streets has done with Open Streets, where over 12 years, you've reached, by the numbers in your presentation, over 680-something thousand residents. That's massive. And the idea that a group would do that for free is phenomenal. And that's a great bargain you've been able to finesse for these years, because I don't think nowhere else could do it. But in light of that too, Director Anderson Kelleher, you mentioned something around kind of the intentionality of the shift. And I don't think we're disagreeing on that at all. I think all of us are in agreement when we pass the transportation action policy that we do want to encourage, multimodal usages. And even as you mentioned the example of Glendale, you couldn't bike, but I'm pretty sure people rode public transportation there. Pretty sure people walked there. And that is the whole purpose of this, of diversifying the trips and the ways in which people, get to these events, which still fits under our TAP goals. So, I'm absolutely in agreement with that. And once again, based off of what's currently on our website, it seems like this series aligns with it. And there's still a shift saying, no, it's a festival of sorts. And I think that is where the disconnect is of, it seems like the series do align with our TAP goals. And if that's not the case, there are justifiable concerns, at least my office has been flagged of is this retaliation? And particularly retaliation towards the contractor that's hosting it. And I'm very glad, again, in POGO, where we have this very thorough presentation recently on procurement practices, because we've heard that from other constituents and other vendors in the communities around do we have any policies that guides retaliation at the city? And based off of that presentation, procurement shared, there are state statutes that prohibit that. And so I'm hoping that is also affirmed in this space, because I'm getting hit up by constituents who feel otherwise. And I see, Director, you raised something there.
Director Anderson Kelleher.
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Wansley, that's a very serious allegation. If that allegation needs to be followed through, I think the group should follow up with the city attorney's office. There is no evidence of retaliation in any way, shape, or form. The group chose not to sign the contract for 2024. They informed our staff of that. We did not terminate the contract. They chose not to sign the $0 contract. There are fine points that have been brought up here. I think that is why we need a look at going forward with the event. Ms. Hager also said that we are just not going to be in the lead. We still support the event. We still believe that this is an important event, Open Streets. We continue to support the event, and we'll do it from the standpoint of the partnerships that we do have. But we want to focus on, frankly, multi-million-dollar investments that are happening in the city and our streets that sometimes, as you all know, can be controversial even, about the remake of our city streets. We want to get people out into those streets to experience that, see what green infrastructure looks like, see what a modern bikeway looks like, use the infrastructure around Vision Zero. That's where we're focused going forward.
Thank you, Director.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I just want to note, just clarification of the allegation piece. As I want to frame, I have no problem sharing emails, and I think all of you, at least on this body, have been part of email correspondence where these concerns are being raised. People are sending me Star Tribune articles that says, "Thank you, city, for ending your partnership with our streets particularly." And that is the piece where folks are framing in the public around retaliation. And I'm glad you're on record. And then I'm glad our staff has been previously on record in procurement that has highlighted that is legally not, something that departments should be or can engage in. So that is a very real concern that's been brought to council members around this particular item, and the decision for, as you highlighted, Public Works to not be in the lead. And also the decision for the RFP process to not be led by this department, to continue to be a zero bid RFP process. It's all framed around that. So I'm glad that you're offering some more clarification on that, because it has felt very confusing up until this point. It still does, I won't name, but at least we're in a space where you can clarify some of that, at least publicly. That way I can share this with my constituents who've raised these concerns to me over email and in person. So thank you.
Councilmember Chugtai.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I'm not sure if this has been addressed yet, but want to clarify. The $34,000 worth of in-kind services per Open Streets event that get that are allocated from city staff time and all the logistical work that goes into each event, without like a master contract with the existing vendor, with our streets, and also acknowledging that we are committed to continuing to make sure Open Streets events happen. Are those services still going to be in-kinded for each event that, independent organizations perhaps want to organize?
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Chugtai, my understanding is in the discussion with the formation of a group, multi-department, led by Office of Public Service, for 2024, we will be providing whatever this new procurement process looks like, depending, not dependent on the number of events. There will be a number of events for Open Streets. We will, as a city, provide those very same in-kind services, which include trash, recycling, the traffic control through regulatory services, and MPD support that's needed.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I just want to go on record saying I don't believe that there is any retaliation happening here. Just because someone sends emails and accuses staff or whomever of things, it does not mean it's true. I think these type of accusations get out in the media quickly, and when they're set up on the dais, it really gets taken out of context. I don't believe that's happening here. As someone who started with this organization from the beginning, our streets, we always knew a day would come where we would be looking for independent sustainability with those events. And so again, I just want to go on record saying I do not believe there is any retaliation. Nothing in these emails for me says that our staff has done anything wrong. I appreciate the time that you all have taken to explain to my office how this is going to go or what the goal is of this. And I appreciate you, Director, for explaining today and clarifying. It's just a really fine line when words like retaliation gets thrown out there, and that's not the case here. So I'm sorry that this has been the experience for you all presenting here and knowing that the presentation was coming up, but I do not believe that is happening at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vita. Councilmember Payne.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that this comes off as a really complex situation because of this $0 contract and the way that the partnership is formed. But I think it's actually a really simple question, which is it takes time and effort and money to make a program like this successful. And I think this is the question that I have is, what is that actual number? And I think that's actually our responsibility on council to think about how we want to prioritize the value this brings to our community. And so I wanted to compare and contrast Open Streets to our Warehouse Live program, which is not part of Public Works or mode shifting goals. It's a completely separate initiative, but it's actually a pretty significant dollar investment. And I think as we look at the compare and contrast of the success of these different events, we can see that it takes more than that $34,000 per event of in-kind services to make these programs successful. It takes time building relationships in community. It takes time building relationships with vendors and performers. And what I would hope that we can get, from today going forward is a really good grasp of what does it actually take to make these programs successful, because I'm trying to separate out what we all love and agree to, that Open Streets is an amazing program, and the specific weird bureaucratic process by which we make that program a reality, so that we can actually just prioritize that we want this program to exist. It's going to cost some amount of resources, both in time, money, and relationship building. And I just want us to be able to get that right so that we can continue with this program as a success in our city, because we're getting more than just promoting mode shift. We're getting community building. We're getting civic engagement. We're getting, I'm getting emails from constituents who are new to Minneapolis, and Open Streets was how they learned about their community and their neighbors, and they're making these really meaningful connections. And we don't want to lose sight of any of that, and I don't want to lose sight of this discussion through a complex conversation about bureaucracy. So I would just hope that we can all work together to figure out what does it actually take to make this successful, and do we on the dais need to have conversations about budget decisions so that we can be successful in moving forward. So it's kind of not so much a question as much as a comment, and I'm really hoping that we can collaborate on that going forward.
Thank you, Councilmember Payne. Councilmember Wansley.
Yeah, thank you for raising something, Director, in terms of, you mentioned the contract for 2024 had not been signed, and now that we're shifting to a RFP process through OPS for 2024. Had there been a meeting set up with Public Works as a supporting role and OPS with the current vendor to talk about 2024? Has that already happened? You mentioned they didn't decide to sign a contract. Had that meeting happened?
Mr. Chair, Councilmember Wansley.
Director.
This idea for the new series of programs comes out of Public Works. We have informed and gone to OPS. We have talked to other potential partners in the city. That process is beginning. OPS does not have anything to do with the holder of the vendor contract today. There were multiple meetings. The vendor, my understanding, I think I need Mr. Jelly to come up. My understanding is the contractor from the day the contract, $0, and the reason it's $0, one of the reasons is the vendor had, prior to the RFP process, been getting a direct appropriation, which was found to be not legal, right? That's kind of basically what was happening. So then we went to this $0 RFP. That vendor held the relationships and held the sponsorships. They receive money through sponsorships and vendor fees. And so our relationship has been with that vendor, not OPS.
Yeah,
The vendor chose not to sign the 2024 contract.
Right, no, and I think that's the clarification piece. You mentioned there was, I'm assuming, a meeting before this decision to move the contract into OPS based off of, you're
Mr.
saying
Chair, there
vendor.
is no contract beyond October of this year. So there's no contract to move.
Right, but you're saying the vendor also did not sign the contract for 2024.
For 2023.
But
No,
Director, maybe it's an accident. I'm hearing 2024. I've heard you say
2024
Yes.
for next year.
Right. So you're saying the vendor did not sign a contract for next year. And you're saying there was no contract to sign for next year also.
No. That the contract was offered to the vendor for 2024. They chose not to sign the contract. They told staff, and I think Mr. Jelly he was in the negotiations with the vendor. He can give some additional information.
Before we do that, Director, I am going to turn to our city attorney because I've never seen at a council meeting before us get into details of negotiations with vendors, and I am not sure if that is even legal to do in the public spotlight, is to describe other parties' positions on something that they did not come into agreement with the city on.
And thank you, Chair Johnson. I would say that this would be a better discussion had between Councilmember Wansley and the Public Works Department, because contract negotiations are not necessarily all public record. There are quite a bit of public record information. But it would be probably better had in discussion if we're going into great detail regarding past negotiations.
And I just want to provide clarification. I didn't ask for the detail. I asked for the contract because you mentioned 2024 had not been signed, and I'm assuming for the zero bid. And also, City Attorney, what I'm hearing, because we've been getting well versed into procurement practices, this can be publicly shared. So I do want to highlight this is a committee. It's good to know if there was an offer, it sounds like, for a zero bid contract for 2024 that the vendor did not agree to. And I just said, when did the meeting take place when that was decided? That was my original question.
Is that, Mr. Jelly, something Public Works has information for and is prepared to share at this time?
Chair Johnson, Councilmember Wansley, I'll give what I am prepared, and if there's more detail needed, we can follow up. So after the release of the second RFP, $0 contract, the City Council acted in February of 2022 to award the contract to Our Streets to be the city's contractor. After that point, there was a public campaign. So after the council acted, but before the contract was signed, there was a public campaign started to request of $100,000 per year to fund open streets. That slowed down the process and created some conversations. And in the course of the conversations about, okay, so given the request for funding, we have a $0 contract. We worked with the city attorney's office about what options we have. We were locked into that contract. We came to an agreement that the vendor was unwilling to sign the 3-year contract term, so for 22, 23, 24 events. And we went into an agreement for 22. At the end of that season, again, the request for funding was still on the table. There was a lot of back and forth and kind of negotiations about what do we do. The city's interested in having these events, and we worked through those conversations to sign, again, a 1-year contract with an end date of October, but no agreement to move forward and sign a 24 contract. We did have a meeting scheduled to discuss the rollout of this series of events. That was going to be on Monday. So we did have it scheduled. That didn't happen. So, that was the conversation that we were leading up to kind of inform what our plans were for '24.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jelly. I'm not seeing any other comments or questions from colleagues, but I did have a few comments on this. You know, I agree, first off, with my colleagues around this being, at least Open Streets, as we've seen it, being a fun street festival. I'm glad they're not going away. I'm glad there's that commitment. I'm glad there's an RFP process, which, by the way, is the process if somebody wants to revisit a dollar figure. That is the process that makes sense to do that, is to open that back up, especially if they're going from $0 to wanting potentially hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is quite a swing and quite a difference. You know, when this started off, which was slightly before my time on the council, I still had a distinct memory of this really being more like a pilot that was going to happen with Open Streets. It was, as Ms. Hager mentioned, originated from Bogota, and maybe Director, maybe that was you that mentioned it, originating from Bogota. But, you know, I remember it starting off more as a pilot and going to those initial events and wondering, is this really going to be around even in a few years? And everyone's kind of looking around each other going, oh, this is really cool. I mean, you get to walk on Lyndale Avenue, for instance. There's usually tons of traffic, and this is kind of crazy that you get to do this. Isn't that cool? This would be great if it sticks around. And then it's gotten more and more popular, and it really seems like it's matured. And because of that, and because of its orientation towards being more of a street festival than anything else, it makes sense to me that this would now graduate for the long term to a multi-departmental approach, really led by, frankly, I think this is more of an economic development activity. This is more of an arts and culture activity to me. I understand one of my colleagues who makes the point that, well, yes, this is something that people take the bus to and, you know, bike to or walk to. We can say that of a lot of events, though, throughout our city. Really, any large event, any large cultural or arts event as well. So I don't think just because people get there via different modes, which, by the way, we want them to do not just for big events, we want them to do as well for going to work and going out to eat and going to pick up their kids, that alone means that this should be in Public Works' wheelhouse or domain. I also really want to emphasize the fact that this body, this committee, gave Public Works a direction through the Transportation Action Plan to go out and do lower programming events. So when you come before us with this change in terms of your priority or your approach, you are being responsive to this body. And I personally think it's inappropriate to air these and cast aspersions around retaliation on this for something that we directed you to do around coming back and revisiting this concept and changing the direction around this. And in fact, the council met with employees of the city as part of our labor management group. And one of the things we heard is that the words up here on this dais directed towards staff has a real impact. It really does. These are our professional, hardworking employees that are dedicated to serving the public, and they are coming forward with changes, with recommendations based off of what this body passes. And they're being responsive to us. And so I look at this presentation today and I say, bravo, thank you. You are being responsive to what we asked you to do. And all of this work around mode shift and getting more directly at that, I think is great. And I mean, even since you started this campaign, I have personally taken that upon myself, walking now to drop off the kids, biking my son to daycare, and trying to bring that into my life too. And it's frankly because you all have encouraged us and raised that up publicly as a challenge. And, I see Mr. Dodds, you're always on your bike, showing up at meetings. You're walking the walk, talking the talk. This is the type of stuff that's coming out of our professional staff who really care about this stuff day in and day out. And I understand colleagues have questions about contracts. That's fine. You can have those questions about those. Have conversations with staff. Our city attorney's office is there to have those conversations. Our staff is there to meet with colleagues to have those conversations. For any vendors that have concerns, there are processes to pursue those concerns. There are more conversations that they can have as well. They can talk as they are with council members about is there an opportunity around the budget to set aside money that could go out in an RFP? All that's fine. All that's appropriate. I get that. But I don't want in this conversation today to be lost all the work that our staff has done around really lifting up these goals that we passed that have come, by the way, through led by staff, tons of engagement in community. That comes out of this. That comes out of community. That comes out of conversations with council members as well. And so I think it's exciting work you're doing, particularly around, I know this conversation is focused a lot on a vendor, a contract, open streets. I'm excited about the part that has been overshadowed by that is all this as you go event series. And I think this is a really exciting opportunity to highlight, and by the way, highlight the capital projects too. All the work, multiple years of work, usually tens of millions of dollars into these projects where Public Works is testing new concepts and innovating around our public realm. You're doing that work. It's important to highlight it, and it's important to welcome community to it and get people out on the streets, exploring it, feeling it, and building, by the way, when you do that, you build more public support for those changes that we all want to see. And so that make our streets more walkable, rollable, bikeable, safer, friendlier, greener. And so I'm really excited about this As You Go event series. I really appreciate that work. I think makes so much sense for this Open Streets to not only continue, but to graduate to be that multi-departmental approach and really embrace the arts and culture focus that it has, which is, by the way, important for our city being such a strong arts and theater culture economy. We've got that in Councilmember Payne's ward, Art Whirl, all these Uptown Art Festival, Longfellow League of Artists. We've got all these different great events all over the city, and I think we should embrace that and continue that as well. And so I'm excited about the work. I appreciate you being willing to think about this and think about how we can really advance those goals as well. And I really appreciate this presentation. So thank you.
You missed Northside Art.
I'm the Northside Art Crawl. Councilmember Vita, let's go to the Northside Art Crawl together. Can we do that? That would be great. I would love that. I have not been to that yet, so I would love to do that. Councilmember Payne.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. I want to just reiterate, when I had my briefing, I got excited too about the potential of new types of engagements, new types of activations, and I even offered up to host some, slow roll bike rides. And I'm going to say that in public for the full transparency. I would love to be a host for some of these newer activations. And I just want to be able to, set aside the, really productive, collaborative types of conversations that we have inside the halls of City Hall. And had a really great meeting with the director this morning, and also be able to say we can stand up to scrutiny from people who, and especially when I think when we are not effectively communicating what our intentions are, people fill in the gaps with their worst fears. That's what happens oftentimes when we lack transparency, and it's not like nefariously lacking transparency, but just everybody can't be in every meeting at all times, right? So the public only gets to learn about these things when they're revealed in front of committees. So I just wanted to say that I've felt that my conversations around this topic have been very constructive, and it was also very helpful to see how the public was experiencing this shift, and it did raise those types of questions for me of like, oh, right, are we missing something? If we just think it costs $34,000 in kind, we're missing an entire piece of all of the engagement that leads up to the success of these. And so I welcome that scrutiny. I think that makes our programming better. We obviously have to have the thickest of skin to have stepped into these public service roles, but I don't think it's a disparagement on our staff for our public to have questions and concerns about shifts that this institution has. So I just say let's move forward with some of that scrutiny, be able to meet that scrutiny with responses that actually start achieving these bigger picture goals that are bigger than any one partner, any one organization, any one activation. We have really big goals that have really life and death consequences, actually, whether it's, road deaths from pedestrians or heat death from, people out in this like record-setting heat. These are important issues, and people are appropriately animated by these issues. And so I don't actually take that public scrutiny. And I got the same emails as well that had these accusations, and we were able to talk about that one-on-one. And I framed it as like the appearance, right? We learn about this in our ethics training all the time. Even the appearance of something can be detrimental. And so I think it's good that we take that stuff head on, and I don't take it as an offense, personally at least. And I just try to move forward with that scrutiny to say, let's make sure that we're communicating well and we're refining our programming to meet our shared goals.
Thank you, Councilmember Payne. Not seeing any further comments or questions, I will go ahead and direct the clerk to receive and file this report. And then with that, we've concluded all business before this committee, and without objection, we stand adjourned. Thanks, everyone.